Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a story today that honestly feels less like your standard warrior's bio and way more like a myth you'd hear whispered around a dying campfire. We're talking about Mobile Legends lore, specifically Kagura, the Onmyouji master. You know, most heroes carry steel to defend their homes, but what if your weapon wasn't just some tool of war? What if it was actually your birthplace?
I mean, think about the legends we usually hear. You've got heroes forged by entire kingdoms, rising from the ashes of war, or fueled by revenge, betrayal, blood, the whole shebang. But Kagura's origin? It's entirely different. She was born from something much quieter, and honestly a lot deeper. So what happens to a hero born from a forgotten wish? A regret that just refused to disappear? Let's unpack how this creates one of the most fascinating beginnings out there.
All right, Section 1, The Mystery in the Rain. So, picture this. Long ago, on a really rainy spring day in the Kagura Riverlands, an old man stumbles upon an abandoned baby. There were absolutely zero clues to her origins. No family crests tucked in blankets, no mysterious notes, nothing. Literally no one knew who left her there or where she even came from. Actually, the only thing keeping the rain off her tiny face was this strange, ancient-looking umbrella right beside her. They named her Kagura, but her true identity, a total mystery, tied exclusively to that weird object by her side.
Moving on to Section 2, the Scarlet Shadow Outsider.
So, Kagura ended up being raised among the Scarlet Shadow. Now, if you know the lore, you know this is a ninja sect completely defined by strict discipline, intense training, and strict codes of honor. The young warriors she grew up with, like Hayabusa for example, they had this crystal clear sense of purpose. They knew their duty inside and out. But Kagura, she felt entirely disconnected from that whole way of life. The rigid ninja techniques and the physical combat just didn't mesh with this strange, swirling spiritual energy she carried inside her.
Sure, she respected the people around her, but fundamentally, she was just different. She constantly asked herself, where do I belong? And that question really hits the nail on the head when it comes to her internal struggle. She kind of felt like she was just watching life from the outside looking in. Like, yeah, she had friends, she had a roof over her head, but she felt like a total outsider in her own home. She was basically a wandering spirit, searching for her path in a world full of warriors who already had theirs figured out.
And throughout all of this profound isolation, her absolute only constant companion was that same umbrella she was found with, the Seimei Umbrella. Now, to the Scarlet Shadow ninjas, it probably just looked like some quirky, peculiar weapon, but to Kagura, it felt like a silent friend. As she got older, her spiritual energy grew stronger, and she started to sense that this umbrella was hiding a massive secret. It literally carried a presence. It felt like an entire secret world of memories was just buried inside the fabric and the spokes of this ancient artifact. Which brings us to Section 3, the tragedy of Seimei.
The big turning point in Kagura's life actually happened completely by chance. One day, she's resting beneath these falling spring cherry blossoms, she drifts off to sleep, and boom, she gets pulled into this insanely vivid vision. The umbrella was finally revealing its past to her. In this dreamlike state, she sees a man named Seimei. He was this legendary spiritual craftsman from an ancient era, a time when the delicate balance of yin and yang in the Kagura Riverlands had been totally shattered, plunging the whole world into spiritual chaos and disaster.
To really grasp this, we have to understand Seimei's tragic arc. See, Seimei was this incredibly powerful guy trying to restore balance to the world, but then tragedy struck him right at home. He comes back from a mission only to find out that his beloved sister had died, and he just couldn't process the grief. Days later, he creates the umbrella. But as the years passed, what started out as a comforting tool mutated into something much darker. He clung to the past so tightly that his love warped into this terrible obsession. His grief basically spiraled into madness, which actually disrupted the yin and yang of the world even more. It got so bad that in his final hour, the great dragon himself literally had to step in and stop him.
This takes us straight into Section 4, Secret of the Umbrella.
So that vision revealed exactly what Kagura's lifelong companion actually was. The Seimei Umbrella isn't just a regular weapon, it's a spirit tool. It wasn't forged to strike down enemies or win epic wars. No, it was created from raw human emotion. Specifically, Seimei's blinding grief, his deep longing, and his desperate desire to just see an illusion of his sister again. It was a tool built entirely to look backward and to completely reject the present. And over the centuries, the spirit tool acted like a massive sponge for spiritual energy. It didn't just hold on to Seimei's sorrow, it absorbed fragments of the past, huge surges of powerful yin-yang energy, and most importantly, the regrets of lingering souls. It essentially became this heavy vessel, carrying all the emotional baggage of a completely broken era.
Now, normally, when we hear the phrase trapped spirits, we automatically assume we're dealing with angry, vengeful ghosts out for blood, right? But what Kagura saw was actually incredibly beautiful and honestly a little heartbreaking. These souls weren't hateful at all. They weren't out for revenge. They just had unfinished dreams. They wanted to witness the spring flowers bloom again. They wanted to hear the rushing rivers of Cadia. They simply longed to feel the warmth of the living world just one more time.
And wow, this leads to a massive revelation. Countless lingering wishes were trapped inside this tool. Over centuries, you have a lingering wish that turns into a gathered memory and eventually fuses with that intense yang-yang energy to become a living spirit. Through this vision, Kagura realizes the truth. She wasn't just some random kid who happened to find an umbrella, she was the spirit born from the umbrella itself. She is literally the living embodiment of all those lost dreams and gathered memories, finally given human form so they could experience the world again. Mind-blowing, right?
All right, Section 5, Blooming into the Light. It's so fascinating because both Seimei and Kagura are deeply tied to this exact same umbrella, but their paths couldn't be more different. Seimei used the memories trapped inside it to completely escape reality. He let his refusal to let go chain him to his sorrow, and that ultimately destroyed him. But Kagura, she understands perfectly well that she was born from that exact same regret, but she refuses, flat out refuses to let it cage her. Instead of escaping, she uses the memory of those lost souls to honor life. She makes the active choice to step out into the world and bloom.
And what's really cool is how this rich narrative beautifully informs how Kagura actually fights in the Land of Dawn. Her lore perfectly mirrors her gameplay mechanics. She doesn't fight with brute force like her Scarlet Shadow peers. She relies on her incredible control over spiritual energy. Think about it. When she throws the umbrella across the battlefield, it physically moves away from her, but she is always connected to it. It's exactly like her connection to her tragic past. She acknowledges it, she stays tied to it, but she's free to move independently and dictate her own future. She essentially turns elegance, distance, and connection into deadly power, outplaying her enemies with pure precision rather than raw aggression.
Born from regret, but choosing not to live in regret. That quote right there sums up her entire journey beautifully. Kagura's story isn't your typical "I want to be the strongest warrior in the world" trope. It's a profound story about identity. Knowing your past is absolutely crucial, sure, but it shouldn't become your prison. She is so much more than just the girl with the umbrella or just the Onmyouji master. She is a true symbol of hope, a spirit who proves that even if your very origin is literally rooted in deep sorrow and unfinished business, you can still step out from the shadows and bloom into the light.
And that brings us to the end of today's explainer on this amazing source material. You know, we all carry pieces of our past, sometimes painful memories, or even the regrets from those who came before us. So I'll leave you with this. If you found out you were born from the sorrow of the past, would you let it cage you, or would you use it to bloom? Keep that thought in mind the next time you see Kagura step onto the battlefield. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.